In the long twilight before the rising of the sun, before even the building of the great cities of the Eldar, there were elves who chose not the west. While their kindred departed over the mountains, guided by Orome to the blessed lands of Aman, these elves remained. They turned their backs upon the light they had never seen and shaped their own paths beneath the stars. They were the Avari, the unwilling, firstborn of Ilúvatar, who stayed in the shadowed lands of Middle-earth. Their tale is little known in the West, their names scattered like forgotten leaves upon the forest floor. Yet their choices, their lives, and their legacies are no less wondrous. 7 great houses among the Avari emerged in time, distinct in spirit, bound by ancient lineage, and woven through the forgotten ages of the world like starlight through night-bound trees. Each house bore its own virtue, each held to a vision of the world apart from the guidance of the Valar. And though history may speak louder of the Eldar and their shining halls, it is in the quiet persistence of the Avari that another truth of Arda is revealed, that even those who walk in shadow may walk with dignity, that memory, oath, dream, defiance, wonder, freedom, and hope have many homes in elven hearts. In this chronicle, drawn from songs, scrolls, and the dreams of ages long past, we shall illuminate the 7 houses of the Avari elves. Let their verses be heard again, let their stories endure, this is their legacy. House Minyaril clan verse of Minyaril. In starlight we awoke first to behold the night. By Cuiviénen's waters we keep the ancient light. Our hearts hold the memory and darkness hidden deep. Minyaril shall remember the first oath still to keep. Long before the sun and moon rose, when the world was lit only by starlight, the house of Minyaril kept their watch. They are called the first rememberers, those who remained by the hallowed waters of Cuiviénen, while others of their kin followed the summons of the west. In the elder days they witnessed the departure of the Eldar host led by Orome, yet they themselves chose to stay, bound by love and reverence to the birthplace that Ilúvatar ordained for the Quendi. The Minyaril name themselves after the first awakening, for they claim the legacy of the very first elves to open their eyes under Varda's stars. Steadfast in ancient tradition, the Minyaril became law-keepers among the Avari. They remembered in detail the old tongue spoken at Cuiviénen and the songs of the waters under night. By flickering starlight, their sages inscribed lore into stone and wood, believing that to remember the beginning was a sacred duty. Their culture was gentle and reflective, valuing counsel and quiet craft. Many sought their wisdom in later ages, for the Minyaril preserved countless tales of the time before time, when no sun had yet risen and the world was young. Yet the fate of the Minyaril was bound to the land they loved. When great wars and tumults shook the earth in ages to come, the inland sea of Helcar ebbed, and the shores of Cuiviénen changed or were lost. Deprived of their ancient home, the Minyaril grew ever more wistful. Some few traveled westward in search of kindred or a new refuge, bringing with them relics of memory. Others remained wandering by the emptied basin where once the waters sang, fading into solitude. By the 4th age of the world, the house of Minyaril was a thing of legend, remembered in lore as the keepers of the primeval night. Their oath to never forget the dawn of the Elves still echoing in the songs of those who follow. House Karniar clan, oath of Karniar, by red flame and ash an oath we swore. No fear of the darkness shall rule us evermore. The blood of our kin cries from blackened mire. Karniar shall answer with sword and with fire. If the Minyaril were the memory of the Avari, the Karniar were their unyielding fury. Born in the wild eastern hills and under the red glow of volcanic fires beyond the Orocani, the house of Karniar learned early the peril of the shadow. In the long twilight of Middle-earth, fell creatures prowled the dark woods around Cuivianen. It is told that many early elves vanished, taken by servants of the first enemy. The Karniar rose in those days as protectors and avengers. Hardened by grief and wrath, they swore terrible oaths beneath burning embers and swaying shadows, vowing that no more of their kin would be stolen into darkness. The culture of Karniar was steeped in warfare and ritual. They crafted blades of obsidian and black steel, and painted their eyes with red dyes before battle. Around nighttime bonfires they sang deep-throated chants, like drums of war echoing in the night. To other elves they seemed grim and fierce, but their ferocity was born from love of their people and the agony of loss. Legends say that in later ages, when Morgoth's great wars raged far in the west, the Karniar fought their own wars in the east, harrying the servants of darkness that roamed near their homelands. They drove off packs of early orcs and defied the dark things that crawled out of the ruined pits of Utumno. Over the centuries, the House of Karniar became both feared and respected among the Avari. They had no lordly halls, but camped under the open sky or in hidden fortresses of basalt rock. Their role in Avari history was to shoulder the burden of perpetual vigilance. Even as the Second Age brought the rise of Sauron in distant lands, the Karniar refused his shadow in the east, defending their folk and some tribes of men who had not bent the knee to evil. It is said that by the end of the Third Age, the warriors of Karniar were few, many having fallen in countless skirmishes. Those who remained were like tempered steel, unbroken, scarred and unyielding. In the Fourth Age, with the great shadow gone, the last of Karniar stand guard in the far wilds, their watchfire still burning against any lurking dark. Their oath of red flame endures, an undying testament to the Avari's courage in the night. House Núleth clan, verse of Núleth. In silence and shadow the wise ones convene, their faces kept veiled by a silver star sheen. By dream glyph and vision truth's pathways are shown. Núleth shall guard what in dreaming is known. Among the Avari, the house of Núleth walked the most secret paths of wisdom. They were a reclusive folk, dwelling in twilight groves and mist-laden hollows beyond the sight of mortal or orc. Núleth elves veiled their faces in gossamer and spoke their counsels only beneath the canopy of stars. They believed that in dreams and starlit visions lay truths unreached by ordinary sight. By the faint glow of celestial light, their lawmasters would trace dream glyphs upon stone, symbolic patterns meant to capture the echo of prophetic visions and deep memories. Such practices were scarcely understood by other elves, but all respected the Núleth for their insight. In Avari history, the Núleth often served as quiet guides and seers. It is said they foretold the great upheavals, whispering of the coming of Morgoth's shadow from the north, and later of the rising sun that would herald the awakening of men. While others rallied with swords or celebrated under trees, the Núleth listened to the breathing of the earth and the far music of Eru that lingers in all things. Their culture prized secrecy, patience and knowledge gleaned from contemplation. They kept alive many old mysteries of the Quendi legends of stars and the names of spirits forgotten by others. Few outsiders ever beheld a Núleth gathering. Those who did spoke of an uncanny stillness and a feeling that the very stars were closer. Through the long ages, the House of Núleth preserved its lineage by avoiding the wars and strife that plagued Middle-earth. They survived by hiding from the eyes of the enemy. But the cost of their seclusion was a slow fading from the tales of the world. By the Fourth Age, the Núleth were scarcely more than legend even to other elves. Some say they linger still in remote eastern forests, appearing only as pale silhouettes beneath the moon. Others claim that most Núleth have gradually passed into the west in a way unseen, their bodies fading until only their spirits roam the nights of Middle-earth. Thus, the secret guardians of dream and vision fulfill their final prophecy. to become one with the starlit dusk they so cherished. House Aranwë, clan oath of Aranwë, beneath far eastern mountains our standard we raise. No light of the two trees guides us, only star-silver rays. Through long years of shadow, our pride has not ceased. We are Aranwë's children by the will of the East. Unlike their secretive kin, the House of Aranwë openly sought order and kinship among the Avari. Named for their founder Aranwë, Noble One in the tongue of the Eldar, this house strove to shape a semblance of a kingdom in the wild East. In the long ages under starlight, Aranwë gathered many scattered families of Avari and settled them in a protected vale at the feet of the Orokani Mountains. There they built sturdy halls of timber and stone, lit by crystal lamps and starfire caught in mirrored pools. The Aranwëan folk took upon themselves titles and duties akin to the far-off Eldar lords. They had a chieftain who was called king, and councillors learned in lore. Though they never saw the light of Valinor, they kept alive a memory of what an elven realm might be, imagining their halls as a reflection of the lost Cuivianen, or a distant echo of the cities their Eldar cousins would build across the world. The culture of Aranwë's house was proud and communal. They prized leadership, law, and craft. It was among the Aranwëans that the Avari first forged mail of linked rings and learned to temper bronze for tools and weapons, arts they honed perhaps in friendship or rivalry with the dwarf clans that dwelt in the nearby mountains. In Avari histories, the House of Aranwë is remembered for convening councils of the tribes, attempting to unite the disparate houses whenever a great threat loomed. More than once did messengers bearing the star emblem of Aranwë travel through trackless forests to call the Avari to alliance against orc raids or the encroachment of shadowed men. For a time unity held and their stronghold flourished, known in song as the Starry Haven of the East. But the long years brought new challenges. In the Second Age, when Sauron's influence spread into the eastern lands, the independence of Aranwë's realm was tested. They refused to bow to any Dark Lord, and for that defiance they suffered war. Human warlords, seduced by Sauron's promises, assailed the Avari kingdom. A great burning befell their halls. Though the Avari fought valiantly under their king's banner, much of the house was slain or scattered. By the Third Age, the once proud halls of Aranwë had fallen to ruin, overgrown by ivy and silence. Surviving descendants led their people into hiding or exile. Some journeyed quietly westward and merged with the secret wood elves of distant forests, blending their heritage into the larger tapestry of elvenkind. Thus the legacy of Aranwë lived on, if only as faint threads in new tapestries. In the lore of the Fourth Age, the House of Aranwë stands as a noble memory, a vision of what the Avari could achieve in unity, and a testament to their refusal to serve the shadow, even without the guidance of the Valar. House Tavrossië, clan verse of Tavrossië, beneath whispering leaves and boughs evergreen, we dance with the shadows where dim starlight is seen. The forest our mother, the night sky our guide. Tavrossië wanders where wild spirits abide. The House of Tavrossië, whose name signifies forest folk, embraced the living woods of Middle-earth as both home and sanctuary. From the earliest days, these Avari preferred the deep cover of forests. First the primeval wildwood near Cuivianen, and later the great woods along rivers and vales as they wandered. They were a merry and reclusive people, more concerned with the rhythms of the seasons and the whisper of trees than with the affairs of kings or Valar. Under starlight they would sing and dance among the glades, their voices mingling with the rustle of leaves. It was said that beasts of the forest trusted them, and indeed Tavrossië hunters could move silently beside deer and wolf alike without fear. While other houses of the Avari formed councils or mustered for war, The Tavrossië lived in scattered clans led by singers, hunters, or wise herb lore keepers. Their culture was rich in music and riddles, and they delighted in simple joys: the first spring blossoms, the hushed snowfall in winter, the sight of newborn fawns. Yet they were not without vigilance. With boughs of yew and spears of ashwood, the Tavrossië defended their forests fiercely when threatened. Many a sneaking orc or trespassing servant of evil met swift arrows from an unseen bow, vanishing before ever glimpsing the elf who drew the string. In the long tapestry of Avari history, the Tavrossië strand is one of continuity and survival. When ages passed and the world changed, it was the forest folk who endured, adapting to new realms. In the Second Age, as great powers rose in the west, the Tavrossië were among those who mingled with wandering Nandor and kindred sylvan elves. Together they became the wood elves known in later song, the folk of Greenwood the Great and Lothlorien. Though many forgot the name Tavrossië, their spirit lived on in those woodland realms. There, under leaders like King Lenwë's kin or later Sindarin lords from Beleriand, the descendants of the forest folk kept alive the starlit merriment and earthbound wisdom of their Avari forebears. Through the Third Age, the echoes of Tavrossië laughter and courage could be heard in the halls of the Elven King and beneath the golden boughs of Lorien. And when at last the shadow was lifted and many elves took the straight road into the west, some of the forest folk lingered still in Middle-earth's green havens. In the Fourth Age their number dwindled, and their song grew quiet. But so long as an ancient oak stands whispering to the night breeze, one may yet feel the presence of Tavrossië, the wild at heart, who loved Middle-earth too fondly to ever wholly depart. House Velwë, clan oath of Velwë. From the gates of morning to far western shore, we follow the road under sky evermore. No hearth shall contain us, no fear shall we know. Velwë's children wander where starlight may glow. The house of Velwë was ever on the move, the wandering branch of the Avari that could not settle in any one grove or vale for long. Their spirit was marked by an insatiable curiosity and a yearning to see what lay beyond the next horizon. In the youth of the world, while others lingered by known rivers and forests, Velwë and his companions journeyed forth into uncharted lands. They followed the great rivers to their mouths and climbed over ranges of hills into far-flung plains. It was said that a Velwëan wanderer was often the first of the Quendi to set eyes on new lakes, strange hills, or the distant eastern sea. Unlike the other houses, Velwë's folk had no single homeland. They made camp under open skies, beneath whatever trees or cliffs offered shelter for a night or a season. They carried with them the lore and news of all the Avari kindreds, acting as messengers between distant elven clans. Through their travels, scattered Avari tribes learned of each other's struggles and triumphs. The Velwëans also encountered the newly awakened race of men in the far east of Hildorien, teaching some of the first humans a few words of the elven tongue and the names of stars. In later days they would walk among many mortal folk, sometimes revered as wandering wise folk, or mistaken for spirits of the wild. The role of House Velwë in Avari history was as eternal travelers and bridges between worlds. They brought tidings of Morgoth's wars from west to east, and whispered warnings of Sauron's shadow creeping in the south. No ruler or map could claim them. They walked freely from the northern wastes to the southern deserts, leaving only footprints and stories. By the Third Age, as the dominion of men spread and the free lands shrank, the journeys of Velwë's children grew longer and lonelier. One by one they vanished down the ancient roads into myth. A few found refuge among friendly kindred in western woods, while others are said to have simply continued walking beyond the knowledge of any lore. In the Fourth Age, the memory of the Velwëan wanderers survives in the far-flung legends of men tales of fair folk met at dusk by a dying campfire, or a solitary minstrel whose song is heard on empty moors. Some speak of a last wanderer who reached the great sea at last, standing upon the shore under an evening sky of stars and sunset. Whether he took ship into the uttermost west or turned aside to roam new roads unseen, none can say. Yet the legacy of House Velwë endures as long as there are elven footprints hidden in the wild places of the world, and curious eyes that look ever to the next horizon. House Silmárië, clan verse of Silmárië. Beneath the lone star of hope that pierces the night, we gather our songs and yearn for the light. Long have we lingered in twilight grey. Silmárië shall journey at last toward the day. The house of Silmárië was unique among the Avari for nurturing a spark of longing for a light never seen. From their earliest tales they spoke of a distant dawn, a belief that beyond the far horizon there must exist a greater radiance than the stars. Some say that Silmárië, the ancestress who gave her name to this clan, dreamed of the two trees of Valinor, though she herself dwelt under darkness. Whether by some echo of the music of the Aenir or hints carried in the winds, she inspired her people with hope that the world held beauties yet unsought. Unlike many Avari who distrusted the Valar and Eldar, the Silmárië were open to wonders from the west. When a bright new star rose in the sky during the First Age, the star of high hope that was Eärendil, they took it as a sign. Under its silver flame they composed hymns of yearning, and the emblem of a radiant star jewel became their symbol. Throughout the Second and Third Ages, the Silmárië people often dwelt at the fringes of other elf kingdoms, half in exile and half in curiosity. A few among them sought out the Sindarin and Noldorin exiles who dwelt in Middle-earth, trading knowledge and gentle friendship. In secret glades they would light crystal lamps in memory of the Eldar's lost trees, and tell their children stories of Eldamar gleaned from wandering minstrels. They felt sorrow at the sorrows of the world, but also believed in healing and reunion. It was said that a Silmárië healer once wandered into the war-torn lands of Beleriand to comfort the fallen during the final wars against Morgoth, and that she was blessed by an Eldar lord for her mercy. As the ages wore on, the House of Silmárië kept the flame of hope alive, even as other Avari grew weary. When Sauron was finally overthrown and the Great Shadow lifted, the Silmárië knew the time had come for their people to fulfill the destiny long denied. In the early Fourth Age, they gathered by the western shores of Middle-earth, drawn by the same call that had beckoned their distant cousins ages before. Many of the Silmárië joined the last ships that sailed from the grey havens, their voices mingling in bittersweet song with the Eldar as the vessels departed into the sunset. Those who remained behind bid farewell with joy as well as tears, content that a promise had been kept at last. Thus the House of Silmárië passed out of Middle-earth, not in sorrow but in fulfillment. In the lore of the Fourth Age it is remembered that the Avari's final gift to the world was hope, the vision that even after long darkness the firstborn could find their way back to the light. And so the legacy of Silmárië and all the seven houses of the Avari lives on in songs, in stars, and in the undying memory of Arda.